Good evening, Woodruff Wolverine fans. Welcome to the Woodruff Wolverine Coaches Show. My name is Brad Phillips, and we're here live at Tap 3 on Main Street, Woodruff. And thank you, as always, to the staff and everyone here at Tap 3. They always feed us good, treat us well here. And tonight, our special guest, first up, Principal Coach Scott Lawson, Principal/Coach. I know him. I've known him as Coach. But principal of Woodruff Middle School, Coach Scott Lawson. Thanks for jumping in and hanging out with us tonight. I told we got some electoral candidates in here tonight. I told them that we might need to start running the election ticker up here. So we'll have to stay. If I can get some updates, we'll have to keep everybody up to date on our local elections tonight. Hopefully, so looking to have hopefully two winners in the room tonight, right? Coach, thanks for jumping in. As always, it's good to have you. And
absolutely, Brad. I don't know how far you had to go down the list to get to me tonight, but in any case, I'm tickled to death to be here. Don't leave off among those titles. One-time field painter too. That was one of my all-time favorites, being a field painter. Some days I wish I could just go out there and put my headphones on and start putting down lines down again.
I know. So, Coach, what a lot of people don't know is that I guess it was around, I don't remember, Coach, 2008-ish. Coach Lawson brought me in for some part-time work during the summer for the school district. And Phil Hembry's sitting out here too. Phil Hembry and I together learned how to mow athletic fields in the summer of 2008, which that was not on my bingo card for 2008, but Coach hired me to come down and cut some athletic fields during the summer, other miscellaneous duties, and that's one thing the other thing I didn't have on my bingo card was learning how to stripe a football field, pulling tape. At the time, I think there were still markers that Coach Varner had put at every yard line. You had to take a metal spike about this long, try to measure it out, and you're digging in the dirt, try to find those spikes so you line the field off because the markers were already there.
You had to always find the corners first. Yep. When you found the corners, you could work from there.
And we lost one. At some point we lost, and I can't remember if it's the corner at the on the visitor side of the locker room. I think it was gone. We couldn't find it anymore. We're digging for that thing for months and could not find it.
Which is also why, Coach Sloan, if you don't know this, is a good time to share this, that if you throw the fade to the field house, throw it on the church side, because the one on the home side is about 14 inches short to be underneath the goalpost like it's supposed to be.
Yeah.
We don't know how to fix it. It's been like that for a long time. So if you miss it by a foot, make sure you're going to throw it to the other side. Don't throw it to the home side.
I don't know if anybody's ever been on the Coaches Show to share that story or not, but I'll start it off, and I'm sure Coach Lawson can kind of finish out the story. But at some point on that field, Coach Varner had a dump truck brought in and to get a few things fixed on the field, and somebody backed the dump truck into the goalpost on the field house end, right? So if you look at the goal, I don't know, people are going to be looking for this now. So you go down to the field house end and you look at the goalpost, and it's bent back towards the First Baptist Church just a little bit. And I don't know, I can't remember who that was, but he come out hooting and hollering. Somebody had hit the goalpost during the summertime. Do you remember that whole story?
I don't remember who it was. I think Coach Mike Stokes is the one that passed that one along to me, and I never had noticed it. And then once they tell you the story, every time you're out there now, you look for it and you go, "Yep, that's about right. That's what happened." So
that's a little W.O. Varner football stadium lore. If you want to know, if you want to file that away, if you want to look at that goalpost the next time you're down there, that definitely happened. But that was my introduction to Woodruff athletics. Was probably all the way back in 2008 when I was working with you guys in the summertime. And Coach Stokes, Coach Hembry, Phil Hembry, and I, he helped show us how to pull a string And if you've never pulled a string to paint a football field, you hadn't lived, right? But there's times when I'm kind of like you, Coach. I don't mind taking my shoes off completely and just getting your toes out there in the grass, maybe get a little paint on your feet, painting the football field, getting it ready for a Friday night game. There's really nothing like it. People, it is a lot of work. I think one time my phone counted my steps when we did a full paint. We did the end zones, logos, hash marks, all the stuff. Something like 10 miles, maybe 10 miles total.
It's a lot of steps if you do sideline, coach's box, tick marks, all of those things. They add up. Also takes a lot of paint and a lot of time. But in the evolution, this new era of paint machines, it's really changed the whole dynamic of being able to paint. And
yeah, for sure.
Those things are so accurate and they're so low to the ground that it's really hard to mimic that, even from the best of painters, because you're painting on a wheelbase, but that machine is so low to the ground, it's just really hard to beat the quality of it.
Well, I need to have Coach John Jansen back on here sometime. If you guys don't know, Coach Jansen, girls basketball coach, by the way, is kind of our lead field paint guru, right? And we kind of stole him from Lawrence High School a little bit. But Coach Jansen bought a turf tank robot. I believe last year was the first season that he had the turf tank robot, if I'm not mistaken. And if you're interested in technology and all those things, you should look up the turf tank, because Coach Jansen, he can dump a little robot out on the field, click one button, leave it, and it's almost like a printer. So it's printing the football field as he's going and doing other things. It's pretty interesting how that works.
Yeah, there's a stop almost like Coach Varner's corners that basically is a GPS marker, and once you center it off that GPS marker and it locates it, you just turn it loose. And it has the ability to trace and do your logos from your speed W's to your palmetto trees and the claws and all those things. It can do those as well.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy what it'll do, and you can load different templates inside of that thing and hit a button, and it just prints it. It's pretty wild, pretty amazing.
I was going to do this at the end, but since we're on field painting here, and since Coach Sloan is here, we hadn't had a long run of playoff home games in a while, which we're certainly 1 week at a time, Coach Sloan. I said that's what I'm going to say up here, but we'd like to be here for week 1 and week 2 and week 3, and there's even a chance that things could fall back our way and be here for the Upper State Championship, which
correct.
The last time that was the case was about 2011, and that was a unique day and a unique set of circumstances on the Friday after Thanksgiving that I can tell you all the stories about selling 1,000 tickets in an hour during lunchtime, and the 8,000 people that are in the stadium. And but what I want to mention is, if we get to that point again, it was easy. It was hard for me last time because I had people suggesting it to me. I'm gonna suggest it this time, but man, I really would like to see some checkerboard, maroon, and gold end zones one more time.
Yeah.
Man, that aerial shot of the stadium with those checkerboard end zones and that Rose Bowl wrap in maroon, still one of my favorite pictures I've ever had from my time in the business.
It was pretty amazing, and I think that was prior. It was pre-drone. I think that was helicopter picture shots. Jay, is that right? I think Jay was hanging outside of a helicopter to take those pictures of the stadium that night. And
kind of like this time, it wasn't necessarily supposed to be that way, and we won in the third round, and it fell back to us. And then the next thing you know, we're on the phone ordering buckets of gold and maroon paint, and Miss Neal is drawing out the grid for how we're going to do the end zones so we can start on the next week.
Yeah, it was incredible, and I 100% remember that year. I finished Thanksgiving dinner and was back out on the field, finishing up the logo, because you can't put the paint on the logo. You can't put the color paint on the logo till the day before. It's just you just can't do it, right? So definitely Thanksgiving Day. That was a special event, and
worth every bit of it for the moment. How it turned out, worth every bit of it.
It sure was. It was wild. I don't know if I still have I may have a little something right here. Let's see. What about this right here? I don't know if everybody can see it on the screen, but we'll try to get it up here. Give me 1 second. Right there. There you go.
Coach Sloan,
That's
take a
what
look
it
at
looked
that.
like.
While
That's
we're,
what it
that's
looked
what
like,
we're talking about right there.
Yeah. So thanks to Jay Phillips for hanging outside of a helicopter to grab that pre-drone era. We didn't have the option to take that with a drone at that time. So
we didn't have the option to paint that with a robot either. All of that was hand
by
painted.
hand. But
a lot of people with a lot of paint on those couple of days that week.
But you know what we did have? We called in favors from Coach John Jansen, who was not working at District 4 at that time, and that guy came up with an extra paint machine and a little bit of head knowledge to help us wrap our minds around how we were going to pull that off.
Yeah, we had to break out the Cartesian coordinate system to get all the squares the right size and end zone. And
yeah.
The moral of the story is we got to do it 1 week at a time, but we'd love to have that option to do that again here in a month or so.
It's definitely on the table, and we're gonna play to get there. I'm sure that Coach Sloan and our guys are pumped about having that opportunity to be able to do that once again. So that's.
I think part of that problem was I had promised 2 people if we hosted Upper State we would do it, and both of them had memories like elephants. One was Garrett Mitchell, and one was Graham Lawson, who they both found me on the field and said, such and such, we're hosting. And I was like, no, we're not. And somebody said, yeah, we are. Yeah. Order the paint.
Right. Order it.
So we did that night before we got off the field.
Well, I can assure you, if Garrett Mitchell's watching right now, he's already texted me about 5 times to remind me of the fact that this could be on the table again, So, but anyway, So I don't necessarily know how we got down the rabbit trail of field paint, but that's kind of my introduction to hanging out with Coach Lawson and learning some field paint stuff, and a lot of miles walks on that field out there since 2008. Would still do it tonight if Coach Jansen needed help, and that's definitely some good times for sure. Looking forward to a long playoff run here for our Woodruff Wolverines. Coach, now that you're at the middle school, it's a little different scenery coming from the seat of the principal's office, right? You kind of get to see everything from a little bit different perspective, and let's talk a little bit about fall middle school sports first. Let's give a little bit of a recap. Everything's basically wrapped up now, I believe, correct? All the fall sports have pretty much wrapped up at the middle school, and had some good luck on the volleyball side, right? We had Coach Brooke Bailey here, I believe it was last week, and had her where she was able to talk through two really, really incredible seasons for volleyball, back-to-back championships. Coach, give us a little bit of recap of the fall sports season there from Woodruff Middle School.
So you started off talking about middle school volleyball, and they traditionally open the season playing in a tournament in Spartanburg up at the Upward Stars Center, which draws schools from all over the upstate, Anderson, some from Pickens, far away as Greenwood. A lot of the Spartanburg schools are there, and there's usually 32 or 36 teams there, something like that. They made it to the finals and lost in the third set, I think 15-12, to a team from over in Greenwood, who they'll come up again in the story in a minute. It's extremely good. That was the highest finish we've ever had in that tournament to start the season. And I told Brooke then, I said, the principal in me would really like to have the big trophy, but the coach in me says they're going to be a lot easier to coach for the next couple of weeks than if they'd won this tournament to start the season. Then we went through the Foothills Conference in the regular season undefeated.
Right.
I think lost one singular set along the way.
Literally one set.
One set along the way the whole season. Went into the tournament.
Allie Reese confirmed, right?
Yeah, one singular set. Went into the tournament. Oddly enough, the team that took the one set of us was the team that was hosting the tournament. And we won the first rounds, played at home. You go up to Landrum on a Saturday, played there, won the first game, the semifinal, and then won the final all in straight sets to finish undefeated in Foothills regular season and in tournament play.
Yeah.
Then I actually had a chance to play one extra match, go back and play Edgewood from over in Greenwood again, and just like they had earlier in the season, they beat us. But good experience for us to play those folks and see where we are, what we need to do to get better. Good set of people to go watch. The hardest part for them sometimes is they would tell you sometimes their inter-squad scrimmages during the week were sometimes more competitive than their matches against some of the other schools were.
Yeah, right.
You know, and it's almost like that. I've heard those guys talk about, you know, the Wednesday practice at Woodruff with Coach Varner with going offense, defense, and all those things. Sometimes those were harder than the Friday night games.
For sure.
So that depth was good. Also very rare at the middle school level that you've got people tall enough, big enough to be blockers at the net and outside hitters that are hitting down on the ball and people that go dig it out. So we had some people that can dig it, and then, of course, the old bump, set, and spike it and block it. So very, very unusual, good set of all-around team that hopefully can find their way to some future successes. We finished up football just this last Thursday with a win on the road at Blacksburg. Had a bye the week before that. Beat Sims at Union at the high school, not at the county stadium, but they played out there the week before that. Had struggled a little bit in the first part of the season, had some games we couldn't finish, had some leads in one we couldn't hold on to, but glad for those guys to win their last 2 games and have a bye week to get better. This crowd reminds me a lot of the T.J. Morris crowd that when they were in middle school, you know, that's the same crowd that we graduated a lot of people from last year that won about 10 games with Coach Sloan, and we had some people dinged up in the playoffs and were really close to a region title. You know, they didn't win a middle school game, and yet 4 years later, they're tit for tat, playing for a region championship and playing in the playoffs and a chance to get to the 3rd round. This group could be that way if they put the work in. There's some people there that's going to develop and be able to do when they get some other people around them. It's just hard now, and it doesn't matter if it's middle school Thursdays, high school Fridays, or colleges on Saturdays. It's hard to have the same group of people around and have depth everywhere at the same time right now.
Yeah.
Ask Shane Beamer and ask Dabo Sweeney if you don't believe me, if it's hard to have depth all the way around right now.
Yeah.
But if you got some core pieces, and I think this middle school team has some core pieces of people that will help you along the way, you just got to get all the right pieces around them in the right place again. And
for sure.
In a place where player development still matters, and it should matter.
Yeah.
It should always matter.
Right. Well, Coach, let us let's move on to I guess winter sports at the middle school level are kind of getting underway now. What are we looking at going forward into winter sports for middle school, Coach? I know we got basketball, wrestling. Tell us a little bit about what's happening at the middle school level going forward into winter sports.
So middle school wrestling, girls and boys basketball are all starting tomorrow. Wrestlers will leave our campus and go over to the high school, do all their wrestling practices and have their matches. Home matches are over there.
Yeah.
Okay. Middle school basketball will start tomorrow. They're playing in a preseason tournament up at the new middle school in District 5. Will be their first competition at Abner Creek. Again, lost a lot of 8th graders, which you always do in middle school. Guys have got a couple people coming back. I know Coach Addis, who we love to call the Wizard of Woodruff. That secret is out now. When Coach Morris and Coach Santos and I are asking about middle school girls basketball, it's always, how did the Wizard do this evening?
That's right.
How did the Wizard do? So the
Legend.
Wizard of Woodruff, Daniel Addis, has his point guard back. And the word is when he has his point guard back, you better watch out.
Yeah.
So he has his point guard back, so that's always the case.
He's deadly.
Yep, a point guard that helped him win the tournament last year. Did not win the regular season, but won the tournament last year. So he feels good about that part.
Yeah, Addis he's put up some crazy good numbers with girls basketball at the middle school level. Coach, I don't have any of that in front of me, but I know Coach Addis puts everything he's got into that girls basketball program at the middle school, and that's resulted in a ton of wins over the last 10 years.
You know, you take for granted those folks, and when you have some stability there, it really helps lend itself to future success of the varsity programs.
Yeah.
Also a shout out to Coach Addis, because for the last several years he's actually been the president of the Foothills Conference.
That's right.
And that wasn't necessarily the easiest of things in the last 18 months, but shout out to him for his steadfastness and leadership there, and ability to work with people and try to keep the conference in one piece and keep it healthy and keep everything going in the right direction.
Coach, tell us a little bit about the Foothills Conference while we're on that topic a little bit. What can you name us all the teams? Because some folks that might be watching remember the old Peachtree Conference, which we're not a part of anymore. It's changed over the years into the Foothills that we're a part of now. What schools kind of make up that Foothills Conference right now?
So I'll try to get all the way there. So I mentioned Sims earlier.
Mm-hmm. Which is Union.
Sims feeds Union County High School.
Yeah.
Also Jonesville Middle is part of the Foothill Conference. One's kind of on one end of the county, one's kind of on the other end of the county.
Right.
Rainbow Lake, Boiling Springs, part of that. The folks in Blacksburg play in this conference. The triumvirate of Campobello, Landrum, Mabry.
Mm-hmm.
Some of them.
Mabry's Chapman still, right? Is that right?
Mabry is, and sometimes now they actually play together in some things as opposed to playing separately in some things. But it's basically those middle schools that come together to make Chapman and Landrum.
Okay.
Probably the biggest difference, Brad, is in District 3. There's the formation of what is now Cliffdale Middle School.
Okay.
That's the one that a lot of our folks now go, what does that mean? Well, Cliffdale is the combination of what used to be the Cowpens Red Raiders and the middle school of Packlet Indians is now all of them are merged into one middle school. They are the Cliffdale Centurions.
Okay. And that feeds, what high school does that feed?
That's 100% Broome.
Broome.
So when you get Woodruff Middle, Cliffdale Middle now, that's exactly Woodruff students and Broome students playing against each other at the middle school level now.
Okay, gotcha. I was not aware of that one, I don't think.
Oh, I left out Ewan. Ewan's in Cherokee County.
Okay, that's Gaffney, basically.
That's a Gaffney school on this side of not too far from what they call the Gotcher part of the world in Cherokee County. That's a term for you, like Switzer, Green Pond, or Sugar Tit. The Gotcher part of Cherokee County over there, if you know where that is.
Yeah, awesome. Well, Coach, I appreciate you jumping in and talking with us a little bit tonight, trying to touch on a few different topics here. Anything, as we go into the playoffs here for varsity football, any words of wisdom, any thoughts, any memories? I know you shared about the 2011 game, but any thoughts about coming up into the playoffs here? Because you've worn the athletic director hat, you've worn the coach hat on Friday nights as well. Anything come to mind as we go into this new playoff season?
I think, Brad, selfishly for me, I want to see another generation of Woodruff people get to see a Woodruff Wolverine playoff run.
Yeah.
Because it's been 10 years since we won a region title, and generally you got to win your region to have a bunch of home playoff games. And between that amount of time and a lot of new people to the area, selfishly, I'd love to see us have a playoff run and it build every Friday for the next couple of weeks, all the way hopefully to those checkerboard end zones and that.
Right.
Coach Gordon Godfrey told me when I came here, he said, everything is different for Woodruff because it's like being the Yankees. The playoffs are what matter.
Right.
And there's a part of that that's still true, right down to the old gold tree that used to be in the end zone when people said the gold tree was turning. It's Woodruff time, it's playoff time, and that vibe and that feel, maybe not for me selfishly, but for a lot of these people, I want them to feel that over the next couple of weeks. It's finally feeling like football weather and get out and support, because the one thing that's easy to do is you forget that these opportunities to make these runs don't last forever.
No.
It didn't last forever in Woodruff. It didn't last forever at Burns. It didn't last forever at Union. It didn't last forever at Clemson. It didn't last forever at Alabama.
Right.
So when you got the cards on the table to make one of these runs, you better support it and take advantage of it while you can, because it doesn't last forever. They're unique and they're special, and we should expect them, but we should support them when we get there and not take West Oak for granted, which we didn't talk about that. For our, West Oak for some of our people is what used to be Westminster.
Westminster, right.
And Oakway became West Oak in the way we were talking about those two middle schools. And, we don't cross paths with them very much, maybe in wrestling a little bit the last couple of years.
Well, I've got a statistic from the WHS stat man. This is the second time we've ever played West Oak. And all the old Wolverines, everybody who remembers the other school, we played Westminster from the 70s on until they merged. So there's a little bit of trivia for you. Second time.
Yeah, I think one of those was 89-6 somewhere in the record books. I've seen that might be the highest scoring one ever. So
I think that is. I believe Garrett sent me a message and said that's still the record. 89 points. No, we didn't throw the ball. This was not a spread offense. That was running the ball. So
I think that one was somewhere in there as the case. But
right.
Brad, I know you got to get Coach on. Always been a pleasure. Been too long. Hopefully we'll get some results for these guys coming up tonight. And I got one of my middle schoolers out here. One thing we did leave out was when we had the Woodruff High homecoming, we had a homecoming dance at Woodruff Middle School.
Oh, my goodness.
So we got to see some dance moves from people of all ages. And for the right amount of money, I can share those for some people. So you can find me online. I can share what was going on. So.
Yeah, I love it. Well, Coach, as always, it's great talking with you. Appreciate you and your family coming out to hang out with us tonight. And always good to hear from you, your insights on football, Woodruff community, Woodruff School District. I always love to hear from you, Coach. Thanks for spending some time with us. We're going to take a break for just a couple minutes. May try to collect up some election results. I don't know. I think some of that stuff's trickling in at the moment. So if anybody's interested in that, we may try to get some of those.
This may be the first football show in America where you get election results on a football show. I tell you what, that's right. That's something right there.
We're here for the people. So we're going to take a break, guys, and we'll be right back in just a couple minutes with Woodruff head coach Brett Sloan, and we'll see you guys in just 1 second. All right, everybody, we are back here live at Tap 3 on Main Street in Woodruff, South Carolina. As always, thanks so much for the hospitality from everybody here at Tap 3 for hosting us every week during football season. They still have their BOGO flatbreads going on. I think I might partake in that here in just a little bit myself. Coach is a wings guy.
I'm a wings guy, yep.
I think that's his go-to on Tuesdays. And
don't want to mess up a good thing.
Right. So, yeah, right. You got to make sure somebody. And I forgot to tell you. I think it was Cruz Watson that told me that for this playoff run, you have to wear exactly the combo that you had during the MVP game. I can't remember which combo it was.
I think I had the white hoodie on.
White hoodie, yeah.
I think so.
And
I have to go.
So Cruz said. I think it was Cruz that told me you have to you got to make sure that you bring that back for this playoff run. So
I keep it on a hanger in the field house just in case.
I got you. That's funny how some of those things cross people's minds about a little bit of superstition. I guess
it's the white hat too. I think because I had Brittany wash it actually.
Okay,
so it was
Gotcha.
It just needed a little cleanup for the playoffs.
Well, Coach, we outright won the region championship by defeating the Union County Yellow Jackets on Friday. That was what we were projecting going into the game. I know you guys wanted to go in and seal the deal and make sure that we won it outright without any arguments from anyone. Able to go in and get a big win at Union. Coach, give us a little bit of a recap of the Union game. Some of your thoughts coming out of that game.
I mean, it was kind of just business-like, for the most part, and that's that's what you hope to see in a lot of instances. When you get in a situation like that where it's easy to have a letdown, and to see your guys go out and. Were we the most emotional we've been in games this year? Probably not. But did they do their job, and did they do it at a high level for the most part? Yes, especially in the first half. And then we got a little beat and banged up, and it became we're playing some guys who don't have a lot of experience, but all of that is that's part of it. We've been playing 10 weeks of football now. So you're going to get beat up a little bit, and kind of what I talked to them about at the half was. It's an opportunity for us to raise our floor a little bit, right? Because some guys who are typically not getting a bunch of significant reps, they're now in there taking reps. So you get opportunity to put things on film, and now when we watch film on Sundays, you get to see yourself making mistakes, and there's a lot to learn. It's one thing to watch someone else do it correctly or incorrectly, but when you get to see yourself doing it correctly or incorrectly, there's a lot of growth that comes from that. And there's some guys that were able to get some of those reps, and we weren't quite as consistent in the second half, but a lot of that had to do with the inexperience. And then with Cam out, we weren't able to do. All of our formational stuff that we typically do without taking Trayvon from the defense, and then you get in a situation where you're up by 30 points, and you're like, do I really want to get Trayvon hurt right now? So it became all right. We're going to stick in 10 personnel, for the most part, and we're going to do what we can do, and we're going to rep, and we're going to get better, and we're going to close out the deal here, and they were able to do that, and I mean. Hats off to the defense. Played another excellent game.
So close to a shutout.
Yeah,
so close. Just one
yeah,
play.
We just we lost focus for about one play.
To me, the way that I saw it, it was basically that one play just had a couple of mistakes. And
we didn't set the edge like we were supposed to. And I think if I remember correctly, it came right after we jumped off sides on fourth down too.
Right. That's exactly right.
If I remember correctly, so that that's why you can't do those things, But that's another learning opportunity for us, and at least we get to learn that lesson in a situation where it doesn't, cost you a game, So because there's no room for that moving forward,
Well, I've already put it on the table. I also talked to Coach Dwayne Thompson. If we pitch a shutout this week, I'll bring a donuts. I'm bringing donuts on Sunday, so you guys can. Put a donut up on the scoreboard. We're gonna get donuts on Sunday for the team meeting. So, I know those guys want to make that happen as bad as anybody. Coaches and our guys on the field.
They've done a phenomenal job. So it's not a knock on them. I want them to get the shutout for them. Because they played so well.
Sure.
So it's not. It's like I tell them all the time. Our goal on offense is to score every possession too, and we haven't done that yet.
Right.
We've come really close, and we've come really close to shutouts. So the message to them is we still haven't maximized our potential, and there's still some things left on the table for us as a team, and there's still goals to strive towards, as far as what our expectation and what our standard is. So. But that's all still out there for us. So we got a lot to work towards.
Well, I was going to mention the defensive stats while we're on that. I think Union was held to 164 total yards of offense, less than 3 yards of play.
Yeah.
Basically, that's pretty
And
dominant.
I think 60 plus came on one play where we misfit it and they got to the edge and scored.
Right.
I think in region play we gave up 24 first half points in 4 games. Which is 6 points a half in the first half.
Yeah.
You're going to win a lot of football games if you play defense like that.
For sure.
And we just got to continue to do it. You're only as good as your last game, and we got to go out and prove it again this Friday. So
Right. So moving on from Union County into week 1 of the playoffs. Coach, you've said it before, kind of a new season, right? We reset. It doesn't matter if you're 9-1 necessarily now. Everybody's 0-0. You got to win to move on in kind of a season 3 that we're looking at here going into the playoffs. West Oak, a team that we've only played one other time in the record books. Most people would know West Oak as Westminster, which consolidated years ago. So kind of an interesting matchup that we've never really had before, other than one other game. Not super familiar. We're not super familiar with them because we've never been in the same region, the same division with West Oak. So, Coach, what kind of football team and what kind of approach does West Oak bring into WLR on Friday?
Well, I mean, I think first of all, offensively, first of all, I want to say this as a coaching staff, those guys have done a good job because this is a program that won 4 games this year, and I think not too long ago they won 3 over a period of 4 or 5 years.
Right.
So they won 4 games, and they've done a really good job, and they're well coached. You're going to see on offense, you're going to see a lot of heavy personnel, so you'll see a lot of 12 personnel. You'll see some 21 personnel where they got split backs and a sniffer, and they really want to get the run game going. They got a big, tall quarterback who, he's got a good arm. He can make throws, but they want to try to get you to commit people to the box and then be able to try to, take advantage of space out wide with pretty I don't want to say simple concepts because sometimes that's misinterpreted, but
Yeah.
their big deal is get people into the box and then beat you with slants, beat you with fades, beat you with some of that stuff, beat you with bootleg stuff. All that stuff is really good stuff, especially if you're able to run the football. So, and then defensively, they're pretty consistently in single high coverages on the back end, but they're going to play a lot of games in the box. You're going to see they base out of a 3-3 stack, but you're going to see them slant and move, and you're going to see them sometimes they'll bring a linebacker up and they'll be in an even front, and they're going to run twists and stunts and blitzes and all these things. So we'll have to do a really good job picking those different things up. So that's probably the base overview. They're physical, they play hard, and they're well coached. So.
And if I'm not mistaken, let's see, their quarterback is 6'6".
Yeah, they've got
6'6".
they've got several guys on their roster who are 6'5" or taller. Like they've got a lot of guys. They're a big football team. They really are. So.
They have a defensive end in the program at 6'7", 280.
Yeah, so.
That's a big youngin.
Yeah, they got some. Like I say, they have impressive size. Like they're not going to look. Like they are overwhelmed, by any means. They've got good sized kids who are good football players.
So, Coach, let's talk about keys to the game for the Wolverines. We were talking a little bit earlier about the fact that we played 10 games. We did have a bye week, a little bit of a rest time, but there's no rest for the weary right now. It's back to back to back to back from here on out. Tell us a little bit about what are our keys to the game to make sure that we come away with a win this Friday in the first round of the playoffs.
I mean, it probably gets monotonous to some people, but it's be more physical, don't turn the ball over, and be great on special teams. I mean that's really what we have to do. I do think if you want to go into more detail. like I said earlier, they do a lot of things in the box on defense, and they send a lot of different pressures and things, and we'll need to handle those things in both the run game and the pass game. Defensively, because of their 12 personnel and their 21 personnel tendencies and things like that, there's a lot of heavy sets, and what happens with that is you start creating a lot of gaps in the box. And that can be problematic if you're not identifying the formation, identifying the strength of the formation, getting all your calls and checks and things to those formations incorrectly. And if you don't, it becomes alignment and assignment, right? Because if you don't line up in the right gap, or if you don't stunt to the right gap, or whatever, then you end up getting creased.
Right.
So just alignment and assignment is a really big thing for us on defense. Being able to handle their movement in the box is a really big thing for us on offense. I would say those are the two things that, if you said what concerns you the most, that would be the two things that concern me the most, and we've got to do a good job of handling Friday night. So,
well, Coach, while we're talking X's and O's a little bit, I had a question come in this week that I wanted to throw out to you that you said was okay to ask.
Sure.
And, it's definitely an interesting question, in my opinion. Folks have seen us throughout the entire season, all 10 games. There's times when we score a touchdown and we immediately line up to go for 2-point conversion. Yep. There's times when we immediately line up to kick the football. Is there a strategy that you guys are thinking about as far as analytics? Or is it you just going by feel? What are we looking at?
Well, if you watch very carefully, and I don't want to give too much detail because I don't want to give everything away either, because I don't know who watches this and things. But there are certain things that we're looking for. If you ever watch, like the holder lines up post snap every single time, he lines up about 2 yards behind the ball, and then Coach Lewis and I are looking for certain things because we have, based on how you line up or don't line up, we may have something that we're going to try to go for 2 there,
okay.
right?
So you're calling it kind of based off of what you see.
Yeah,
at the
we're calling
moment.
it based off what we see, and sometimes the situation.
Yeah.
And it kind of comes down to this. A lot of times they just gave up a touchdown. So what happens? Bad body language. People are fussing and fighting with each other. People don't get lined up correctly, right? Because they're too worried about the touchdown that they just gave up. So and if you're part of the philosophy is we're going to make you line up and play the play. So that's part of the philosophy.
Right.
Okay. Then the bigger scope, I guess, is this: you now have to prepare for all that stuff, right? So
you've shown it all year.
We've shown certain things that you better be prepared for, because you don't know when we'll go for 2 or when we won't go for 2. So part of that is, and if you think about it, there's a limited amount of practice time, right? Yeah. At some point you have to pick and choose. You got to pick and choose how much time are we going to spend on this, and if you're dedicating a whole lot of practice time to some of those things, then you don't necessarily get to dedicate practice time to the things that we do at offensively or defensively.
Right.
So it eats up some of their practice time as well. Or you have to practice a lot longer, and then you're more tired, you're more fatigued, and all that. So there's a lot of there's some in-game philosophy there, but then there's also some strategical over the course of a season.
Yeah, that goes into in the strategic side. I think I'm thinking the same thing you are as far as points on the board. When you start doing the math, you're forcing an opposing team. If you're up 8-0 when they score the next touchdown, they're thinking about, okay, are we capable of getting 2, or are we going to kick? Can we tie it up, or are we going to be down by 1? There's a lot of thought process, I believe, that could be, considered strategy there as well, right?
Yeah, and part of it is that we just want to be aggressive by nature. We feel like we're really aggressive on defense. We feel like we're really aggressive on offense. We probably throw the ball down the field quite a bit, compared to most people. And we go for it on 4th down a lot, and there's a lot of analytic reasons for that and things like that. So you kind of want your philosophies to match across all phases of the game.
Yeah.
You don't want to be conservative in one, and there are times, when those things change a little bit, but for the most part, you want your identity to be your identity, and that's just part of our. You've seen us I mean, we faked it on 4th and 9 from our own 20-yard line this year at Wren too, or something. You know,
for
so,
a 60, 70-yard gain.
Yeah, so I mean,
Yeah.
like some of that's just who we want to be from a philosophical standpoint as well. You know, and then the I guess the results of that it's a lot of stuff that people have to prepare for. You know, it puts other teams in binds because sometimes you may only if you're down. There's a big difference between being down 15 and being down 14. You know,
especially if
you've got to get a 2-point conversion somewhere too. You know,
especially if you keep stretching it out over the course of a game and you get a couple of 2-point conversions, then that makes it way harder on the opposing team. For sure.
And there's things that we've worked that we still haven't shown. You know, so there may be others that show up in the next few weeks. You know,
I love it.
So that's just, I guess that's it in a nutshell, kind of what we're thinking. And
well, just as long as we don't go to we're going for it on 4th down every time strategy. I don't. There's a couple of coaches out there in the United States that's their entire philosophy, right?
Yeah.
One of those guys was at PC for a while.
Yeah, Kevin Kelly's his name. But we're not quite that far into that philosophy, I guess.
But it is a little bit different. I guess the reason that I got that question is something that maybe Wolverine fans haven't seen as a part of the scheme of playing football on Friday nights, which is the game is advanced and changed, and there's different strategies, and people think about things differently nowadays. So I appreciate the explanation because there's times when people are going, why are we going? I don't understand why we're going for 2.
It's definitely different, and we understand that, but it's something we believe in, and we'll continue to get better at it, I guess, and so.
Well, fantastic. As we said earlier, we will be hosting round 1 here at W.L. Varner Stadium. There is a bracket posted on the Woodruff Wolverines Facebook page. There's a bracket posted on the Woodruff Wolverines Sports Network page. If you would like to have the bracket for the projected first round matchups across 3A football, and
I guess, Brad, going back to that, it's kind of if you watch high school football for a long time, you get the old swing and gate deal, So it's our version of that. You know, it's our version of the swing and gate. So
I got you. I like it. But
Scott's coming back up here with us.
Hey, y'all talking about shutouts. You want a quick Coach Varner story about shutouts? Coach Sloan will like this one. So the story is Coach Varner was being inducted into the National High School Hall of Fame. And one of the people sitting in his table in his area was a guy named Earl Campbell, that's in Texas, Houston Oilers, running back.
Yeah, I know
so
that
they were reading Coach Varner's bio and things. They said this guy at that time had won 300 and some odd games, 200 of them by shutout. And said Earl Campbell looked over there and said, "You better be glad you didn't play against me for them 200 shutouts." And said Coach Varner looked over there and said, "You better be glad you didn't play against us."
Man,
that's funny.
Wouldn't you love to have been in the room for that?
Talk about that. I was in the gym the other day just because I was thinking about shutouts, and I was looking at. I can't remember which team it was, but there was one team. It might have been early '80s that had 9 shutouts in 15 games or so. Like there's one of them.
Phil, what? 81. And I know the 65 team. I can't remember. My Uncle Charlie will probably pop in here in a second. But the 65 team, they didn't give up 60 points all year, I don't think. Right.
Wow. Yeah, I just got to looking at it the other day, and there was it might have been 81, but there was one year where there were 9 shutouts in 15 games.
Yeah.
Wow. That's impressive.
Change the defense, is that what you just said?
Yeah, that's impressive. To a split 4, a 4-4. Yeah.
Because Coach Varner's base was always 50.
He always played a base 50.
For years and years. But yeah, that's definitely, it's a feat feat to behold,
Man,
which doesn't happen very
nine
often
shutouts
anymore.
in 15 games is pretty impressive.
Yeah.
I was looking at that the other day, and I was like, wow, that's 9 shutouts. I had to count them. But
I was looking at film through I've digitized a bunch of film through the years, and you can see the progression of, if you go on our YouTube channel, all the highlights from the '65 state championship are there. Phil, I think that championship game with you guys, you might have sent me that film, is on Facebook as well, and the progression all the way up through the '90s and the early 2000s. What I noticed in the years when I finished high school up to '95 was we started playing teams that were pro style and would throw the ball 50%. I mean, they'd run the ball, but they'd throw the ball 50% of the time.
Sure.
There was multiple receivers in routes. And in previous years, from '95 backwards, you didn't run into people that were running that style offense at that time.
Well, a lot of the game's changed so much, and it really has. And the way you evaluate defense it has changed a little bit too. You get into tempo offenses and things like that, and it's a lot of teams are more concerned now with how many points per play that you allow than just straight shutouts, right? And things like that, or they have point systems that they come up with, for turnovers and lost yardage plays and all this other stuff. So the way they evaluate defense is a little bit different than what it used to be. So it does become, shutouts are a little bit more difficult, and the other part of that is the rules favor the offense a little bit more in 2025. And they really do. It's with the RPO game, and then there's just some of the things that used to not be illegal hits are now illegal hits and all those things. So it is a little bit different game.
And you can even go all the way back to the '65 season. They beat easily on penetration, which was they didn't actually score in overtime. They gained more yards than Easley did and was able to win that way. Because there really was no overtime.
No, but I will say this: I don't care what era of football you're in. If you have 9 shutouts, that's really, really impressive.
You're a force to be reckoned with, for sure.
Yes, you are, for sure.
Well, Coach, we'll go ahead and wrap up for tonight. Anything else that you want to add as we go into week 1 of the playoffs? I know we want to try to pack the stands, support these young men every week as much as possible.
Let's create the environment that we always do, because our guys feed off of that, and they've earned that, in my opinion. They've earned an opportunity to go on a run at home and have great crowds and great energy, and I know who they are, and I know that their effort will match that energy. So,
and I want to echo what Coach Lawson said earlier, in the fact that and this is no pressure. This is no pressure on you, Coach. This is just this is the way that football has been here for years and years and years, and the fact that that energy on Friday nights and all the people who show up to watch and support and scream and yell and buy tickets. I would love to see that attitude kind of continue down through the generations of, when we do have new people move in, and when you have parents and their kids are playing, they remember how it was when they were there. I would love for that kind of stuff to keep being passed down, because it's a special place here. We can make it loud on Friday nights. We can make it loud and proud in that stadium, and it's intimidating for folks coming in.
Sure.
And we like it that way.
Yeah, we got to do our part, and when we're working towards that. So.
Well, Coach, thanks as always for jumping in, and I'm planning on seeing you next Tuesday, so y'all can go ahead and put it on your calendar, and we'll be here to talk about round 2 of the South Carolina High School League playoffs. We're going to wrap everything up, as always, thanks to the folks at Tap 3 for being so good to us, supporting us, allowing us to come in each Tuesday for the Coach's Show. And we're going to sign off. Thank you guys for tuning in, as always. And we are going to sign off, and we'll see you guys next week. here on the Woodruff Wolverine Coaches Show. Take care.